in case we have forgotten, because we keep hearing that 2014 has been the warmest year on record, I asked the chair, you know what this is? It's a snowball. And that's just from outside here. So it's very, very cold out, very unseasonal. So here, Mr. President, catch this.
Sorry, Senator Inhofe, you tried really hard. You even brought props, but there are just a couple of minor flaws with your argument. First, let's clear up a huge misconception. Global warming and climate change aren't the same thing. It's not even that one term's correct and one term's incorrect, they're just not the same. Global warming refers to a rise in the average surface temperature of the Earth. Climate change refers to the change in precipitation, wind patterns, in addition to temperature. So global warming is part of climate change. Now, where Senator Inhofe seems to have had a little trouble was with the definitions of climate and weather and how they're different. Weather is the state of the atmosphere at any given time. Climate refers to statistical trends in the weather over time. That one snowball in Washington, D.C. on that one day doesn't change the fact that there's been a statistical trend in the rise of average temperatures on the Earth's surface. Climate change should be all we're talking about, but it's not, because it's hard to have a productive conversation about climate change if you don't know the definitions and terms and the basics, as Senator Inhofe clearly didn't, even if he is the chairman of the Senate Environment Committee. If we ever want to be able to engage in productive conversation about climate change, we need to have a better understanding of the basics. So this one's for you, Senator Inhofe.
Radiation from the sun passes through the atmosphere in the form of shortwave radiation. It is then absorbed by the Earth and re-radiated as longwave radiation. Some passes through and escapes into space, but a lot is trapped in the atmosphere, heating the planet and allowing it to sustain life. This is known as the greenhouse effect. However, when humans emit CO2 into the atmosphere, it makes it thicker, causing it to trap more heat.
The greenhouse effect is the most common process we discuss when we discuss climate change. However, it's not the only one. Another important process is reflectivity. Alright, so you've probably heard that the polar ice caps are melting. I mean, we've all seen a picture of a sad little polar bear floating out in the middle of the ocean on this tiny little piece of ice. Something we need to know, besides the sad looking polar bear, is how little ice there is and how much ocean there is. The white ice or snow reflects the sun's rays. The dark ocean absorbs the sun's rays. Think about wearing a white shirt on a summer day versus a black shirt. But what does any of this mean for our planet? To find out, we turn to the experts.
There's evidence that human activities influence global climate change.
Unfortunately, because of the nature of science, no scientist is going to say that it's the result of climate change, but they would say that it is indicative of climate change.
One huge indicator of climate change is rising sea levels. Rising sea levels are happening because ice that's already on the land is melting, going into the water, causing the water to rise.
Scientists would say that the intensity, magnitude, and frequency of extreme weather events is indicative of climate change.
A lot of places are seeing increased rates of extreme weather. This means hurricanes, cyclones, all the different weather phenomena you see.
And one of the reasons that we had such an extreme winter here in Worcester was because as temperatures rise, the atmosphere can hold more moisture in the air.
It can be difficult for some people or individuals to understand that climate change and global warming may not be a positive thing. This can be because there's no direct effect.
And the reason that scientists don't like to tie specific weather events to being the result of climate change is because climate change is gradual. And it's the gradual increase in concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere which causes extreme warming over a long period of time.
The effects are seen more in smaller countries, more poor countries. They don't have the government, they don't have the programs to deal with the effects.
If we're serious about battling climate change, then the sector that we should be focusing on is the transportation sector. Transportation contributes the most carbon.
CO2 is really important because it stays in the atmosphere a really long time. It's what's causing the global warming. It's what's causing all this heat to stay in the earth instead of going out back into space.
And that's why it's important to really, reach out to people and allow for others to learn about global warming and climate change.
So, this is a snowball. I found it right outside, right over there. But that in no way means that global warming isn't happening. As the atmosphere grows thicker around our planet, surface temperatures continue to rise. And even though you might not see the effects right away, it doesn't mean they're not happening. We need to continue the conversation. Here you go, Senator Cash.